I wasn't planning to start a war with the HOA. Honestly, war was the last thing on my mind. All I wanted was silence. A place where the world didn't keep spinning so loudly. Somewhere the past still breathed. And the future felt earned. A place with history, not concrete walls and plastic smiles. That's when I found it. An 80-year-old abandoned mansion sitting on 4 acres of forgotten land at the far edge of town. The moment I stepped through the rusted iron gate, a gate that cried like a wounded machine every time it moved, I felt something shift inside me. The cracked windows, the leaning stone pillars wrapped in wild vines, the courtyard carpeted with leaves. It all looked like a forgotten kingdom waiting for its king. Most people would have seen a liability. I saw a legacy, a structure that had survived storms, decades, and neglect, and still refused to fall. A place with bones stronger than half the new houses built today, so I made a decision. This wasn't a project. This wasn't an investment. This was home, and for 6 long months, I poured everything into it. I replaced beams eaten by time. I restored the original wood floors until they glowed like polished amber. I cleared the courtyard fountain and watched water leap from it again after decades of silence. I cleaned every stained glass window from the inside out, and for the first time in years, sunlight poured through them in colors that felt almost magical. This mansion wasn't just being repaired, it was waking up. But the moment it woke up, so did the HOA, not to welcome me, not to appreciate the restoration. No, they wanted control, because some people cannot breathe unless they're controlling someone else. 2 weeks into construction, I found a neatly folded envelope on my gate, placed carefully like a threat wrapped in politeness. Your property appears to be undergoing unauthorized restoration. Submit renovation plans for HOA approval immediately. I actually laughed. Out loud, this house existed before their HOA was even an idea scribbled on a paper napkin. My land wasn't even on their jurisdiction map. I ignored the letter, and that's when the shift happened, because ignorance feels like defiance to people who think they own power. One early morning, carrying lumber toward the mansion, I saw them. 3 HOA board members, matching polo shirts, clipboards, phone cameras out, walking through my driveway like surveyors inspecting a crime scene. Their eyes weren't curious. They were hungry for authority, for control, for someone to bend under their rules. I approached them slowly, silently, letting them see the weight of my steps. And the way their posture shifted told me everything. These weren't protectors of the neighborhood. They were small, time tyrants who finally found someone they couldn't intimidate. They tried smiling, the kind of smile people use when they think they're smarter than you, the kind that hides judgment under friendliness. But when I told them the property predates their entire HOA, that smile cracked. Still, pride is a stubborn disease, and hers, the HOA president's, was terminal. She didn't retreat. She reinvented the battlefield. Because 2 weeks later, right as workers were preparing to restore the rooftop balcony, a storm of sirens and flashing lights arrived at my gate. 3 police cars, officers stepping out with cautious curiosity, and behind them, the HOA president herself, marching like she had summoned the entire force. She came in hot, waving papers, pointing fingers, shouting accusations that echoed off the mansion walls. To her, this wasn't property restoration. This was a rebellion against her imagined empire, but her biggest mistake wasn't calling the police. Her mistake was assuming I wouldn't be prepared. When the officers approached, I handed them the deed older than her entire HOA. The survey map drawn by hand, county zoning laws she clearly never read, and when the officer flipped those pages, his expression changed. He wasn't confused. He wasn't irritated. He was done. Then came the words that shattered her entire fantasy. Ma'am, he's not in your jurisdiction at all. The silence that followed could have swallowed the whole neighborhood. Her mouth twitched open, then closed. Her eyes darted between me, the gate, the papers, the cops, looking for anything to stand on. But there was nothing beneath her feet. She had stepped onto a battlefield she didn't understand. Most people would back down after being publicly humiliated. She wasn't most people. Some people don't learn until consequences sit them down. She filed complaints, letters, demands, accusations with the county. She even demanded I pay community HOA fees for a community I didn't belong to and legally never would. but instead of arguing her pointless noise, I prepared because she had just taken the fight to a place where facts win and fantasies drown. The county hearing room was packed. She walked in with a thick binder labeled, "Evidence Against Mansion Owner," filled with photos of lumber workers scaffolding normal things twisted into villains by her imagination. The county officer flipped through her giant book of nothing once, closed it, moved it aside. Then I placed my folder on the table, not thick, not dramatic, just accurate. Inside was everything that mattered. The original deed, historical exemptions, 1940 property maps, county approvals. And the final strike, a certified letter from the county architect calling the restoration heritage preservation. The room froze, and then the final verdict dropped like a hammer. Your HOA has no authority here. Not now, not ever. She didn't turn red. She turned a color you only see on spoiled dairy products. And then came the finishing blow. If you or your board members step onto his property again, it will be considered trespassing. Her jaw finally dropped. Mine didn't. Mine smiled, because the war she started ended with a single truth. You can't control something older, stronger, and bigger than your rules. Weeks later, the restoration was complete. The sun set behind glowing, stained glass windows. The courtyard fountain danced again. The mansion stood proudly awake, alive, reborn. And the HOA, they never sent letters again, never crossed the gate again, never whispered my name again, because the moment the county shut them down. They finally understood, you can't bully history, and you can't extort a man who knows his rights. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more videos. Thank you. This video is a dramatized, AI-generated story created for entertainment purposes only. Names, characters, and situations are fictional and do not represent any real individuals or events. This content fully complies with YouTube's community guidelines and policies.